be there, they can disturb your family, they can smoke their weed, they can be swearing words that you don't want your kids to hear, and you can call until you're blue in the face, no one shows up. So you have to go and ask them to move. And when you do, you get attacked.
Put yourself in the position of Mike Greer. That's a family man appearing on the Charles Adler Show earlier today. Just trying to read a bedtime story to his kids, and pot and nasty words floating in through the windows. But it's more than that. Chris Doucette broke this story. He's a Toronto Sun reporter, broke this story for Sun Media the other day. Check out some of what he found out.
If you're a parent of a teenage boy in the city's East End and you're not 100% sure where your son is, you may want to look here, because he could be in this alcove behind West Rouge Public School, getting high with his friends and terrorizing families in the surrounding neighborhood. It seems like a nice quiet street here on Friendship Avenue in the Port Union Road and Lawrence Avenue East area. That's exactly why Mike Greer and his wife decided to buy a house and raise their young children here. But in the last year and a bit, their dream home has become a nightmare. All thanks to some unruly, belligerent teenagers who seem to have no regard for the law and absolutely no concern for human life. Greer, who is a teacher, tells me that the troubles began at the start of last summer. He was reading a bedtime story to his children one night, and the pot smoke came wafting in through the bedroom window from the elementary school next door. Now, he claims he went over there and politely asked these teenagers to move on and smoke their pot somewhere else. But rather than abide by his wishes, they became verbally abusive.
They told me this was a public place and they could do whatever I want and I have no right to do it, and a lot of other profanities that were shouted at us. Since then, they vandalized his home repeatedly, and recently they even threw a Molotov cocktail onto the property, very nearly setting fire to his house.
All right, some new developments in this story today. Chris Doucette joins us now. Chris, before we get to the new developments, fill us in on a bit of what Mike Greer's been living through.
Well, he's been living in fear, literally, to the point where he's been sleeping in his car to protect his family from the next attack that he believes is imminent. And, you know, you really get a sense of how he's at his wit's end and feeling defeated if you watch this clip here.
It started with our house getting egged. From getting egged, we had, they came up our driveway and broke into one of my cars. And from breaking into the cars, in November that just passed, in the middle of the night, they slashed all 4 tires of this car. And literally right through the sidewall, could not be repaired. And then we put the security light in thinking that would be a deterrent, and we started parking our cars up on the driveway a little further. And then we had the cars, this Subaru carved up with a knife and 1 tire slashed, and Mustang GT convertible, same thing, carved like this at the back of the car and 1 tire slashed. And then the last week we had a Perrier bottle full of gasoline with a lit rag thrown from here. It came across, it hit the windshield of my car and spread gasoline everywhere, and then it went out, thank God, and it landed over here. And then last night we got egged again.
Yeah, after all that, the getting egged seems the least of your concerns, doesn't it? When you started looking into this story, I know you talked to police. What was their reaction to all of this?
Well, they tell me that they have been investigating. They continue to investigate. They confirmed for me that there was evidence seized from that firebombing of the house, which Mr. Greer tells me was the Perrier bottle that was made into a Molotov cocktail. And police say that they're waiting for forensic evidence, forensic testing, my apologies, results on that bottle. So hopefully they'll get a fingerprint or something. But it certainly sounds like it's been taken more seriously since our story appeared in the paper.
Did it have to wait until the firebombing happened for police to take it seriously? Getting your house egged repeatedly, your tire slashed, your car carved up, that seems pretty serious. And I'm sure if he had intercepted them and punched their lights out, he would have been charged quickly. Did the cops take anything before the firebombing seriously?
They had investigated once before, and I believe that was when both cars had the tires slashed. And it was the same, it was the May 2-4 weekend when the daycare down the street was also set on fire, the playground there. So they had investigated then, but he was under the impression that, from the officers telling him that there's not a lot they can do unless they catch these kids in the act. All
right, so apparently somebody arrested today. What can you tell us about that?
Police actually yesterday, a 17-year-old who can't be named, unfortunately, was taken into custody. He's been charged with threatening to damage property, which sounds like a pretty minor charge, actually. It's alleged from police that he was among a group of teens who were in a vehicle, drove by Mr. Greer's house, and threatened to damage his property.
Okay, here is a quote that we got from Mike Greer earlier today. He says, "I have mixed emotions about the arrest. There are many kids involved, and I'm worried that the retaliation next time, they may not attack until the cameras go away, but I'm pretty sure another attack is imminent." I just have to say that I feel for this guy. I don't know what I would do any differently. Do you think that with the cameras being on this case, yourself and other reporters looking into this, that police are going to step up now, or is this, will they say, well, one arrest is enough, we can go back to looking the other way?
I'd like to think that they will continue to investigate and round up some more of these kids and lay some real, some charges with some teeth, something that, these kids deserve to be punished, quite frankly. So I hope so. I know that the community is certainly taking it more seriously. There have been parents coming forward. The parents of one of the kids, actually in Mr. Greer's pictures, have already contacted me. So that was kind of the idea, to hope that maybe some of these people have a conscience, some of these kids or their parents find out what they're up to and maybe deal with it.
All right, and thanks so much for joining us today, Chris. When you get your latest story out, we'll make sure that there's a link up at liliespad.ca. Thanks so much, sir.
My pleasure.
And do check out liliespad.ca. We'll bring you this and other stories and lots of columns, lots of thoughts.